centimeters?
184.
Hello. Hey, Danny, how are you doing? Well, we're over here at San Ignacio. You showed us an area where there was 3 individuals and then maybe a homicide victim. It's very hard to count how many people have died crossing the Texas-Mexico border. There's usually no paper trail. They're taken and put in a burial with no information, no tracking system. Nobody even marks where they're buried. These individuals are marginalized in life and in death, especially once they cross the border into the United States. All right, what do you got here? Does that appear to be a body bag or something on top, or?
It appears like a body bag.
Okay, look, it's
So
maybe
we're seeing
bunched
if
up
it's
on
going
top.
down.
Yeah. I direct a project called Operation Identification that seeks to locate, identify, and repatriate unidentified human remains found near the Texas-Mexico border. We started just going to cemeteries, going into counties we knew had a high death count, but we were having trouble getting information from different counties. So we didn't know if you remembered anything else, or. These counties are among the poorest in the country, and they don't have the funds to properly investigate the deaths. There's laws on the books that says there's supposed to be an investigation, a DNA submission, that you're supposed to fill out a death certificate. But this doesn't happen, and the individuals that are buried at these cemeteries are buried in unmarked graves. Not only are they just taken for burial, but they're in a rather haphazard burial. Sometimes we find trash, somebody's lunch thrown in on top of the remains before they cover the burial with dirt. Or sometimes we find gloves. Whoever's handled the remains has taken off their medical waste and thrown it in the body bag. There's no dignity in that, and there's no dignity of just being buried and vanished. Everybody has human rights in life and in death. And every family deserves an answer. We feel that by exhuming these remains, submitting DNA, working with various agencies, that we can help provide answers to families. So we're constantly working to figure out how we can identify them and who we can work with to identify them. And Mimi and the Argentine team are part of that. Specifically, Mercedes Doretti. Mimi is one of the world's leading experts in humanitarian forensic anthropology. Mimi and the Argentine team had been doing this for a long time, going to really mass graves, kind of in a different context. And they used an applied version of anthropology to provide families answers. It was profound. So we developed a protocol based on their system. And that's when things really started moving forward. We started getting results on identifications. They collect many family DNA samples from families of the missing. So we send DNA samples to them, and the DNA from these remains then will be compared to families of the missing in Latin America. Mimi and the Argentine team, they cover the cost of this DNA processing that we don't have the funds to do. And ultimately, it makes these identifications and repatriations happen much faster.
I can just scoop it into the dustpan.
You know, it is odd that you have a human rights group that works globally coming to Texas to help with this situation. And I think that speaks to how we need policy reform.
Migrants know that our current administration is not immigrant friendly. So people are going into more remote locations, and that causes more death because it's more remote and dangerous terrain. And, you know, it's harder to find people. At this point, we have facilitated the identifications of about 270 individuals.
This work is nothing but an uphill battle, and you witness people fall through the cracks. But I simply think this is the right thing to do. We have a skill set, we have the resources to do this, and it needs to be done. So we do this for the families.